All right. What's up, everybody? Glad that you are here with us today. Thanks for joining us on our, boy, this is probably the 8th or ninth webinar of the summer. And we're just doing some training videos on how to do different things in Ableton Live and how to just like make your lives easier with what you're doing. And so anyways, I'm here at the Loop community offices in Chicago, Illinois. And my name is Matt McCoy. I'm a certified trainer with Ableton Live, which means I just teach people how to use the software, and I'm passionate about teaching worship leaders, specifically how to use the software to just do what they're doing at leading worship at their church, do it even better. And there's amazing how much stuff you can do with Ableton Live to really enhance what you're doing. So anyways, today what we're going to talk about is we're actually going to build a loop from scratch. I'm going to show you my process. Now, obviously, there's like a million different ways that you can do this. I mean, there's so many different ways you could do this. You could use different software. You could use GarageBand, Pro Tools, Logic, whatever. Reason. I used to use Reason for a long time. Recently, I've started using Ableton, and I really love doing that. So I'm going to show you today how I build a loop in Ableton. Now, obviously, there's a million different ways you can accomplish the same kind of things. But I'm going to show you just kind of my process about how I go about building a track from scratch. And I will just give you a disclaimer here that what I'm about to do, I haven't practiced it at all. So we're going to start with a song that I've actually never even played before in my life. I've never even led worship with this song, and we're going to use the song Closer by Hillsong. And it's a pretty cool song, and I would like to try to build a track for it. But I've never played it before, so I don't know the chords or anything like that. I'm just going to figure it out, and we're going to just build together this track. So when I say together, I mean, I know a bunch of you guys are watching right now, and if you can go ahead and just like introduce yourselves. Ronald, welcome. Wild Wings Safaris, welcome from South Africa. That's awesome. Scott from Canada. Man, all over the world. That's incredible. Anyways, if you're here watching, go ahead and introduce yourself, just so I know I'm not talking to myself. And also, if you have any questions or thoughts or comments or suggestions, just fill it out in the comment box, and we're going to build this track together from scratch. And hopefully this won't take us more than an hour or so. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and open up Ableton Live. I'm going to kind of minimize this video window. I kind of set up a camera so you can see a little bit of what's going on here in the studio. And, oh, where'd it go? There it is. And we're going to look at Ableton Live, and so I've got Ableton Live open. I'm running Ableton Live Suite, and Live comes in 3 different versions: Intro, Standard, Suite. And if you're just running tracks in Ableton, Intro is all you need. However, if you're going to start building tracks and get a little more serious about it, you're going to probably want to upgrade to Standard or Suite. You just get a lot more sounds, and so if you don't have Standard or Suite, you might even see me use a few sounds that you don't have on your version of Live. So to build tracks, I like to use arrangement view. You know, you can definitely make tracks in session view, which is what we're looking at right here. However, I really prefer to build tracks in arrangement view because you get to kind of see the arrangement, which is kind of why it's called arrangement. You can see the arrangement from start to finish, from left to right, down a timeline. And I just prefer to work that way. It helps me kind of just kind of visualize the song. So anyways, we're going to use the song Closer by Hillsong. Now, however, I can't use the original recording from Hillsong because Google or YouTube is going to will kick us off if they hear the original. So what we're going to do, and hopefully this is going to work, we're going to use my friend Jesse from a church called Northgate in San Francisco released a live CD, and they recorded a version of Closer. And so we're going to actually use that, and hopefully we don't get kicked off. Now, if we do, I'll just relaunch this session and I'll send you guys a link. So just a disclaimer, if we do for some reason get kicked off because they hear original music, just watch out for another link and I'll be back. Cool? Alright, so what I did is on the desktop, I'm just going to go to my desktop here. I pulled in the MP3 or M4A here of Closer. And I'm going to just drag it in right here into Ableton Live, into the arrangement view. You can kind of see the song load up there. Let's go and hit play and see what it sounds like.
Here we go.
Let me turn the metronome off because it's off. Okay, so we got By the way, too, so there's our song, okay? And I just pulled that out of iTunes, really, to the desktop. Now I'm pulling it in here. The reason we're putting this in here is I want just this to be like the lower, I just kind of want to turn it down so I can play along to it and build the track on top of it. We're not going to sample anything from here because that's not legal. So you don't want to sample anything from the original recording. That's not cool. But we're going to use it just to kind of have like a roadmap. So first thing we want to do is get this thing to a click. So I'm going to turn the metronome on and let's just listen. I think it doesn't sound like it's on, but let's check. Okay, so it's not on the metronome, which means it's not on the grid. And before we start building anything, we want to make sure it's on the grid. You can even see that it's not locking into the bars here. Here's bar 2, bar 3. It's not locking in. So first thing we want to do is figure out what a very close tempo is for this. So I'm going to click and drag this over to session view by just clicking and dragging over to the session view icon and dropping it here. I bring it into session view because I want to tap out the tempo. I'm going to use this little tap button in the top left corner and I just want to get close. So let's hit play. Okay. And I'm going to tap it out. Here we go. I'm going to turn the metronome off so I can hear what's going on. Let me skip ahead by clicking and dragging in the tempo bar. Alright, let's tap it out. Going down. The more I do this, so the more that I do that, I notice that it's going down. It started at 130 and I'm down at 121. I'm guessing that this is actually pretty close to 120. So I'm going to set my tempo to 120 because it's probably pretty close. Let's go back to arrangement view and we're going to hit the back to arrangement view button, which is the little orange button. This is telling Ableton Live, okay, we're going to start using arrangement view now. So start listening over here is basically what we just told Live. I'm going to double click on that audio file and I'm going to hit this button down here. Let's go and move this window. I'm going to hit the button down here that says warp. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to find the first downbeat.
Here we go.
Okay, so he says here we go, and then right here it looks like is where the first downbeat is. So I'm going to right click on that marker and go to set 111 here. So we're saying this is the downbeat. I'm also going to right click and go to warp from here, start at 120 BPM. And now let's go and zoom out and notice that it kind of warped the whole audio. Let's go and check. Now I'm kind of just going to play and make sure, let's turn the metronome on. And let's make sure it's on time. Sounds pretty good so far. Let's skip a little bit later. Okay, that's pretty good. Keep going. I'm going to turn it down just a little bit. I want to make sure the whole song, so I'm going to skip through the whole song and just make sure the click is still on. Cool. Alright. So what's cool right now is that it's warped, which means that if I wanted to speed it up or slow it down or transpose it, I could. So check out this transpose knob. If I want to transpose this up to a different key, I'm also going to change the warp mode to complex so it sounds a little better. We can transpose it to whatever key we're going to do the song in. So we're going to do it in the original, which I don't know what that is, but we'll figure that out in a second. Now that it's warped, we can also change the tempo. Let's just say you wanted to do it at 130. I can change this to 130. And you can actually change the tempo to be whatever you want it to be, which is pretty rad. So we're going to set it to 120, which is cool. Let's keep the metronome like it is, that's fine. Okay, so that is a very important step because if you don't start with that, you're in big trouble. It's just not going to be on the grid. It's going to be a total pain later when you're recording. So let's go and right-click on this track, and we're going to rename it to Original. All right, so that's our original. And I can kind of make it a little smaller. Let's turn it down a little bit because I want to make sure that I can hear what I'm doing versus what it's doing. And now what we're going to do now is we're going to map out the song. Because right now if I look at this, I'd have to guess, like, oh yeah, I think the verse is bridge 17 through 41. But it's hard to guess, you know, that that's the bar. So I want to actually map it out. And we're going to do that by adding markers. If you hit the little button here that says set, it's going to add little locators. These are like little flags. And I can rename these flags to be whatever I want. So I'm going to right click, rename, and change it to intro. So let me go ahead and we're going to just add markers throughout the song. This is going to take about 2 minutes, but it's worth it because it's going to save us a lot of time later. So there's the intro. Let me skip ahead over here. Okay, so the verse had already started there. I think the verse is back here. Let's rename it. Let's hit play as check it. No, the verse is over here maybe. Alright, let me go back here and see what's going on. Here we go. Verse 2, 3, 4. There is no life without you. Alright, let's keep moving. Cool, there's the chorus. Whoa. That was funny. I named it closer. Right back here. Alright, let's go back to, this is called the intro. There's the verse. The chorus is over here. Alright, so here comes the chorus. Chord 2. We wanna know you reaching out. Back to the intro. Okay, that's cool. Let's see what's going on here. Looks like this is another chorus. Alright, and let's see what's going on here. We're probably going to a bridge of some sort, I'm guessing. Okay, cool. Here comes another bridge, I bet. Alright. So, this is probably boring to some of you, but this is a very important piece of building a track. That looks like another bridge. Alright. Whoa, another bridge. Alright. Okay, here's another chorus. So I'm going to go ahead and type the chorus in. And there's another chorus. There's the outro. Three, four. Alright, and that's the ending right there. Hey, just for you guys out there watching, if you can just let me know if the audio is okay. I just want to make sure that we're good there. Okay, so what I want to do also is I'm going to do something. I want to actually add just a little bit of time at the beginning here. So I'm going to use this little loop bracket. I'm going to hug the intro. So really I just want to add a bar. So I'm just going to hug the first bar and go to duplicate time. And what that did for me is it moved all the locators for me as well, which is good. And now I'm going to just delete that first section. So now I have one bar at the beginning. Does that make sense? We're going to use this loop bracket more later maybe. What's cool about this loop bracket is you can use it, we talked about this in our last webinar, but you can use it to duplicate time. So if I wanted to add another verse here, I could hug the verse, right click, and go to duplicate time, and it'll make two verses for me. What's cool about that is it actually moves all of the locators with you, so you don't have to redo it all, which is awesome. Thank you for the feedback about the audio. Okay, so let's go ahead and now let's add in some band cues. I'm going to go over here to my user library, and I have some cues that are already like built. So I'm going to do these are just MIDI. You can download these for free from Loop Community. They're free cues. If I can click and drag, I just dropped a MIDI clip here. And what it is it's just using the cue pack.
Intro 2, 3, 4.
I'm using the Loop Community cue pack to do this. Let's go drag a verse one in. 2,
3, 4.
There is no life.
Now those were clips that I actually made on my own, but this is the cue pack right here. You can see it. And you can download this for free from Loop Community.
Intro.
And then what I did is
verse.
I just made clips that are labeled verse, chorus, blah, 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 and you can save those clips and then drag them in to make cues quickly. So this is, you know, everything's, you don't want to spend a ton of time doing this stuff. Life, there's too much in life to do than to be sitting building a loop for 8 hours when you could do it in 2 hours, right? So anyways, although building loops are it is very fun. So I'm going to click and drag these in. You can hear if I listen to them.
Chorus 2, 3, 4.
I'm just adding in some cues. These are important because if you are a contributor currently with Loop Community, you know that this is required. All of the loops that are uploaded to the website have to have cues in them, which I think makes sense because when people download them, they need to be able to know how to play them or what order the track is in. So these are really great for your band as well, because now your band will be able to hear these cues and know exactly what's going on. And I'm just dragging these in like that, very simply. Let's do the ending one. Okay. Now, great. We've got our cues. Those are all in there. I can just kind of close that down to make that smaller. Let's also close down the original track to make that a little smaller.
Verse 2, 3, 4.
There is no life without you.
Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and start adding some stuff in here. So probably the first thing we'll add is I could do some beats or I could do some piano. So let's do some piano. I got my piano set up here. Let's go to, well, first of all, let's save this just in case. This would be very sad to lose what we've worked on so far. So I'm just going to save it to my desktop and we're going to call it Closer. All right. That's an important step as well. All right, so let's go ahead. I've got my piano plugged in here. It's just an M-Audio, what is it? Keystation 61. I'm going to go to Live and go to Preferences. And if you go to MIDI, all of your MIDI devices are going to show up right here. Now, I'm going to use this to play. So I want to make sure track is turned on, which is good. I don't need remote turned on, because remote would be turned on if you're going to use this as a remote control, like if you're triggering tracks with it. But what we're doing is we're actually playing. So I'm going to turn track on, make sure track is on. And you can even see when I hit it, in the top right corner, there's a little green light that lights up, and that shows you that Ableton is seeing MIDI, which is good. And now let's go to sounds, and I'm going to just search for, here's piano and keys. Now it's important to know that as I sample these, this is just giving you an idea of what it sounds like. It's not the actual sample. So I'm going to find a grand piano. Here's a grand piano. I'm going to click and just drag it into this empty area here, and it's going to create a new track for me. I'm going to right click and rename this and call it piano. Now you can see that the record switch is enabled for that track, which is good, which means that when I hit my keyboard, it's going to play that instrument. If I turn that off, you don't hear anything. So you're going to make sure that's on if you're going to be playing. So let's go and figure out what key this song is in. And I've never played this before, so this is going to be kind of fun. We'll see what happens.
Verse 2, 3, 4.
There is no life without you. You have all that we need.
Okay, so it's in the key of A.
Where you are,
cool. I'm gonna go and turn the original down just a little bit because I want to be able to hear what I'm doing. So I'm just clicking and dragging the volume of the original.
Chorus 2, 3,
Closer
4.
and closer, we want to know you.
Intro 2, 3, 4.
Cool, there's like a little lead part there too that we're gonna probably want to do. So I'm gonna go and record a piano, and let's just see what happens. I'm just gonna go for it. I'm gonna turn on this little auto advance switch here, so you can kind of see the screen move as I record. You can use a count-in if you want by right-clicking on the metronome, and I can set it to a 1-bar count-in. So when I hit the record switch, it's gonna wait. It's gonna give me a 1-bar count, and let's just go ahead and see what happens here. Ready? I'm gonna hit record. Hopefully the audio is gonna be okay for you guys. Okay, so the reason that didn't work, I mean, it started recording over here, and it's because that's where my mouse was selected. So it's important to, before you start recording, hit the stop button twice, and it's going to rewind to the beginning. So stop button twice, hit record, here we go.
Intro 2, 3, 4. Verse 2, 3, 4.
So we're just doing the verse here. You can even see the MIDI drawing in as I do this. So if I mess up, we'll be able to go back to the MIDI and fix it, which is cool.
Chorus 2, 3, 4. Intro 2, 3, 4. Verse 2,
I'm just going to kind of play around a little bit.
Chorus 2, 3, 4. Chorus 2, 3, 4. Intro 2, 3, 4. Bridge 2, 3, 4.
Alright, so we're at the bridge. Okay, I just messed up there, right? So we're going to talk about that in a second. You guys have grace for me. I'm not a piano player. I'm a guitar player, so I'm sure there's some of you guys who could do this a lot better than me.
4.
Okay, so now that I've figured out how the bridge goes, I'm just going to stop, and I'm going to kind of click and drag, and we're going to erase what I did there on the bridge. Let's go and just stop there for a second. I'm going to talk about a few things. So I kind of, I've never played that song before. There were a bunch of weird things I did, messed up. But what's cool about MIDI is now I can double click on this, and I can actually pull up the piano MIDI roll and see all the notes that I played. If you hit the fold button, it'll actually fold it up to only the ones that you actually played. What's cool about MIDI is now I can actually click and drag if I want to move these around. I could click and drag and move the notes around. You can also quantize it. So, I wasn't perfect in my timing, so I could select all by just holding Command A. Let me zoom in so you can actually see this in action. I'm going to right click and go to quantize, and it just locked everything into the grid, which is pretty cool. So let's go and just for a second just see what that sounds like. Let's go to the chorus.
Chorus. Intro. 2, 3, 4.
So you can hear like it's locked in like perfectly, which is cool. Alright, so what I want to do is, there were a couple of things I want to just change, so I should have remembered. Now I'm trying to remember. Here's the verse. Let's go to the verse. Okay, I like that. Let's go to the chorus. Okay, that's cool.
Intro. 2, 3, 4.
Okay, so I think what I'm going to do here,
Verse. 2, 3, 4.
I want that same section to kind of go through here, so I'm just going to highlight this, hit delete, and I'm going to copy and paste what I did here. So just going to copy. So just kind of copy this here and do paste. Just Command C to V. Let's see what this sounds like.
3, 4.
Okay, cool. So what's cool is you don't have to
Verse 2, 3,
replay
4.
everything. Okay, so I don't like any of that. I'm going to highlight that and delete it. But I do like this. So I'm going to just highlight it, copy, paste it over here. I just didn't like what I did. Okay, did you hear that? There's a bad note there. I think so. Where was it? It was over here. Maybe there wasn't. Weird. There it is. Okay. I'm going to double click on it, zoom in here, and you can actually see the note. Well, that's weird. Where is that bad note? There's a bad note right there. So I'm just going to click it and delete it. There we go. It's a lot better.
Chorus. 2, 3, 4.
Alright, so I don't like anything I did here in this course. What's kind of cool is, like, you know, you can kind of just play around and get, you know, I kind of was just coming up with parts as I was going, and now I can just get rid of the ones I don't like. Reaching out, here in your presence, we wanna go deeper in your life, come alive.
Chorus. 2, 3, 4.
Alright. Alright, so now that I know what I'm gonna do for the bridge, at least I think I do.
2, 3, 4.
So the 1, we will, to the 5, to the 6, to the 4. It's okay. I'm good there. So what I'm gonna do is I want to start recording on the bridge. I don't want to overdo this stuff. Sorry, what I mean by overdo is record over it. We're going to use the loop bracket, and this is cool. So you can use the loop bracket and bring it over to where you want to start recording. So I'm going to hug it there, and I'm going to turn on punch in, which is right here. And what that means is that when it gets to here, it's going to start recording. If I turned on punch out, it means that when it gets to here, it's going to stop recording. So I'm going to turn off punch out because I want it to keep going. But I do want it to start recording here. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to click over here. I'm just going to play along, and you'll see it just start recording when we're ready. Hit the record switch. I'm going to play along.
2, 3, 4.
you're gonna see the recording take over. Let's do the bridge. Here we go. 1,
Bridge
2.
2, 3, 4. Bridge 2, 3, 4.
Let's do this again.
Bridge 2, 3, 4. Bridge 2, 3, 4. Chorus 2, 3, 4.
Okay, cool. So I messed up one section in the bridge. Double click on this, and I'm going to quantize it by doing Command U, and then it's going to lock it all into place. So I did like a little.
Bridge 2, 3, 4. Bridge 2, 3.
So something here was kind of goofy, right?
Bridge 2,
Let's go and
3,
zoom in.
4.
You can even see my horrible mess up.
Bridge 2, 3.
So dun 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 dun. I think it's this note. Let's get rid of that.
Bridge 2, 3, 4. Bridge 2, 3, 4.
MIDI is amazing, right? And then I'm just gonna. Yeah, I messed up there too. All right, I'm just gonna copy and paste now from the chorus. All right, blah blah blah. Right? You guys are you guys with me still? I haven't seen much chatter going on. Sorry if this is like boring you to death. But anyways, hopefully this is helpful to you to kind of see how I get going on building a track. I like to lay down the piano track first, just because it's just a good foundation to have. Cool, so let me go ahead and hit play. Wanna go deeper.
4.
Alright, so we got our piano going there. Let's go ahead and hit save. Just do Command S for a save. Let's add in now a pad. So I'm going to go to, I have a third-party plugin that I like to use for pads, and it's called Massive. So I'm going to click and drag and just drop it into this empty area down here. And Massive is a third-party plugin that has a ton of really cool sounds in it. That actually might be a cool sound to use for that lead line, right? Like, something like that. That might be kind of cool. But there's a ton of like cool sounds in here. I'm gonna use there's a pad in here that I like using called Summer Pad. Let me go and find it. Here we go. Ooh, just feel that summer sizzle, right? That's a nice pad. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. So what I'm going to do is I can go and kind of record this. Let me go and close this out. And let's go and just hit stop twice. Hit record.
Intro 2,
And here we
3,
go.
4.
Oh, it's not recording. And you know why? It's because I have punch in turned on still. So remember, do not use that punch in button unless you're going to be using the bracket to punch in at. So let's go and hit stop, record. Here we go.
Intro 2, 3, 4. Verse 2, 3, 4.
There is no life without you. You have
I should open it up so you guys can see it. Here we go. Let me go ahead and also turn on this. Now you can actually see it moving.
Chorus 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4.
I might just let the pad hang a little bit there on the A. Oh, not enough. This is a pretty cool song. Wide open, yeah. Your love, oh.
Chorus 2, 3,
Closer and
4.
closer, we wanna know you. In your life. Okay.
Chorus 2, 3.
Okay. Enough of that, right? So you can add a pad there. We're going to add that pad. I can just copy and paste everything if I need to. Now this thing I'm not going to quantize because, mainly because you don't want to quantize pads because of the attack and delay on them. So as far as like, sometimes you don't want the notes to be right on time because actually there's kind of some layover in how the notes interact with each other. The sustain on them. So another thing I also noticed is what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually just highlight the entire piano track, all those clips. I'm going to right click and go to consolidate. And it's going to glue them all together as one. And now I'm going to duplicate that track. I'm going to rename this one. I'm going to call it pad 2. What's cool about this is I've already played the song once through. So why not just change the sound but have the same MIDI performance? So I just made pad 2. I'm going to go ahead and down here get rid of that sound. So now there's no sound on pad 2. And I can go to sounds and I could find a sound that I like. So let's just say I'm looking for like a pad. Like let's just try that one. I'm going to just click and drag and drop. I don't like those little like, what is it, stars or something? I'm going to just mute that. Let's solo it. So you can throw different sounds on here. There's a sound. Let's go to, I'm going to go to my sounds, and let's go back to the grand piano. Piano and keys. And there's a sound in here. So a lot of making music here is knowing what sounds to pull in. I'm going to just drag the grand piano on there, but I'm going to mute. There was a pad already on there. I'm going to mute it. Let's see what this sounds like.
4.
Now if you double click on it, I can highlight everything and hold shift to move everything up an octave or down an octave. I'm just holding shift. There we go. That's what I want. Really low like that. You can hold shift and it's just going to move everything down an octave. Shift and then down arrow. Sorry, this little video guy's in the way, isn't it? So that's cool. I got pad. Got my piano. Let's see what those sound like together. And I've got my also, if I go back to the beginning, I've got my summer pad as well. Let's right click on that. We'll call this summer pad. That's a really nice pad. So if I want, I could just copy and paste this whole section. Put it here. Now sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. You would have to adjust the sustain on summer pad, which I'd have to get in there and look at massive to actually see the sustain settings on it. But it sounds like it's pretty good for right now. So let's just leave it for right now. We can always come back to it and edit it later.
Intro 2, 3, 4.
I'm going to turn it down just a little bit. I can collapse these to save some space. Let's go ahead and add in that lead line. So I'm going to go to, we're going to start, let's just go to like our simpler instrument. So we're going to go to instruments and go to sampler, and we'll open up synth lead and find like a synth lead line. So if you want to audition the MIDI instruments in real time, just make sure this little headphone jack right down here is, or headphone button is turned on, and it lets you audition them. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna let's pull in this arpeggiator or arp poly lead. We'll start with this. We're gonna call this. I'm gonna right click and we're just gonna call it lead line or lead synth. How about that? All right, now let's figure out the lead line. I think it's like something like that. Ooh, do you hear how it's like kind of sliding? There's like a portamento on there. It's like a very Owl City thing to do. See how it's sliding? If I wanted to turn that off, I could go down into the settings, and you can see the glide settings here, portamento. I could turn that off. So it's a really hard, but I kind of like that. I don't know. Let's go and try it out. So I'm going to just, let's go enable that track for record, and let's go and find the intro. Here it is. And I'm just going to hit record and play. So it's recording. Let me go and record this line, and here we go. Let's see.
Intro. 2,
Oh boy.
3, 4. Verse 2, 3, 4.
All right. Well, that was fun. A little horrific.
Verse 2, 3.
All right. So I'm gonna just delete that. I'm gonna do it again. That was a good little practice run, right? This is fun doing in front of a bunch of people.
Intro. 2, 3, 4. Verse 2, 3, 4.
Okay, let's go ahead and delete that last section here. Let's kind of hug it in. Double click on it and you can see the MIDI notes. If you hit the fold button, it'll show you just what you played. And let's go ahead and quantize it. Command U. All right. Let's see what that sounds like.
Verse 2, 3.
Da-na-na.
Verse 2, 3, 4.
I'm gonna get rid of that one and just kind of hold it out a little bit longer.
Verse 2, 3, 4.
And that's how I got this one as well. You can click and drag to drag the note out.
Verse 2, 3, 4.
All right, let's go ahead and, well, we lost about 5 viewers after that, so it must have been a bad performance. Scared 5 people away from the webinar. Sorry about that. All right, let's double click on it, and we can, if we want, we can copy and paste. I want to add like another octave. If you hold command, sorry, not command. Whoops. Whoa, what's going on here? I'm going to just select all and hold shift and move it down an octave and just see what happens. Alright, so I must have done some weird things there. Let me just command Z a lot of that.
Verse 2, 3, 4. Verse.
Hey Chris, you may not be running live 9. Maybe that is your problem of why that headphone's not showing up. Okay, so I'm just going to loop this little section so we can kind of play with it and listen to what it sounds like. So I'm going to use the loop bracket. I'm going to turn on the loop button so it's just going to keep going around and around. I'm going to add some audio effects to it. Let's go to our audio effects and go to, let's add like an overdrive to it. So now we've got like a overdrive. We could add like a ping pong delay to it. I think instead of a ping pong, I want to add a reverb. Just kind of wetting it up a little bit. The dry wet button tells you how much of the effect to apply. So you can adjust the dry wet button. Are you going to soak it in the effect or are you going to leave it pretty dry? Okay, I want to actually copy and paste this whole lead synth section. Well, first of all, to everywhere that lead line happens. So let's first do that. So I'm just going to do copy. I think it happens here, and see how nice it is now that you have those markers? It shows you where everything's at. So I like that lead synth, but I want to actually, let's duplicate the entire track by right-clicking and duplicating. We're going to call this lead synth 2. And this one, I want to actually pull in that massive instrument because that sounded pretty cool. So click massive, drag it onto that track. You want to also, well, it's hard with all these windows. Make sure that you delete the effects because we don't need the effects on there. Let's see what the massive one sounds like. So I'm going to hit solo on 2. That's pretty rad. Let's see what those sound like together. That's cool. All right. Turn off the loop.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, so we got our sample in there. I want to go ahead and also in the chorus, let's go ahead and add some, let's go ahead and start adding some beats. So I'm going to go to my drums, and we can kind of sample all the different drum sounds that come with live. Now you may not have all these. I want to do more of like an electronic thing. So let's go ahead and I'm just kind of sampling to. Let's try an 807. I'm just going to click and drag. I like the 707. All right. There's a clap, there's a kick. So I can now, this is MIDI track now, and all these sounds are assigned to keyboard. So I could play it if I wanted. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to record. Now the beats are definitely a place where I experiment. So I'm just going to hit record from the beginning and just see what happens. Ready? You gotta just go with it, right?
3, 4.
So I'm going to give it a little kick in there. Let me open this up so you can see it.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Alright, so that is like exhausting, doing that over and over and over and over. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to highlight it, quantize it, and I'm going to copy and paste what I want. So we got my kick on there.
1, 2, 3, 4.
So we're just going to copy and paste this section. My fingers would have fallen off if I kept going on that one. Alright, let's go ahead and I'm going to hit the record button. If you turn on overdub, it's going to overdub whatever I want.
4, 2, 3, 4.
So actually what I want to do is I really just want to add the claps in. So I'm going to copy and paste that whole, like what I was doing here. We're just making this up as we go, right, people? Alright, so I'm going to copy and paste here, and now I'm just going to add the clap on. But you need to make sure you turn on the overdub switch. Otherwise, when you hit record, it's just going to record over everything you did here. So let's go ahead and hit record. Let's turn overdub on, and I'm just going to add in the
4,
clap.
2, 3, 4.
You can see, whoops.
Intro 2, 3, 4.
You So you can see it just added the clap in there for me, and I started talking, and I can't do this and talk at the same time, apparently. So let's quantize those, and I'm going to copy and paste this whole section again. Copy and paste, and MIDI is your friend. Your friend.
Intro. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4.
All right, so I just want there to be just a click here, or just a kick. So let me go ahead and set the punch in bar. I'm going to turn punch in on. I'm going to hit the record switch on. Here we go. It's a new thing.
2, 3, 4.
Let's bring the clap in.
Chorus. 2, 3, 4.
Okay, cool. I like that little clap thing I did there at the end. So I'm going to just scroll this back, and let's double click. Whoops, not double click, but do a Command A and then Command U. See what that sounds like?
Chorus. 2, 3, 4.
And then again, I'm just going to copy and paste from the chorus. So I'm kind of just building little building blocks here, right? So copy and paste. All right. Here in your presence, we want to go deeper. Now, when I build loops, I like to keep things pretty simple because I've got a full band that I'm playing with. So I don't want there to be a bunch of complicated stuff. The whole idea of loops in worship are just to help enhance what's already happening. You don't necessarily replace your drum kit. So with beats, I try to keep it pretty simple.
Chorus. 2.
One thing we might want to do
Bridge. 2, 3, 4.
maybe do like a little rim shot here in the bridge. So let's go ahead and again bring the little punch in bar over, and I'm going to zoom in. Let's go ahead and do the punch in button on. Hit record. Here we go.
Bridge. 2, 3, 4. Bridge. 2, 3, 4.
So some people try to add so much to their tracks that like it's just not needed. It can really like muddy up what your band is doing live. So you really want to do just a little bit, just do the minimal. You know how they say, what is it? Less is more, right? So you want to go ahead and just like, kind of like, see, I just turned off the original so we can hear what's going on here.
Bridge.
Let me turn the
2,
metronome
3,
off as well.
4.
We just want simple, right? Here's the intro now. And your full band is on top of this, right? And it's just going to help enhance what's already happening. Alright, so what I want to also do is let's go ahead, I'm going to copy and paste this because I liked that. I liked what I was doing there for the bridge. What we're going to do is I'm going to add an effect. I'm going to go to audio effects, and we're going to add a ping pong delay to that beat track. Actually, let's rename this to beats. And let's just see what this ping pong delay sounds like. That's cool. It's all that can satisfy. Yeah.
Bridge.
Let's see what it does in the verse. Ooh, that's cool. If I turn it off, you can hear it. I'm going to turn the dry wet down just a little bit because I just want a little bit of that delay. It's kind of sweet. Let's see what it sounds like in the chorus. We wanna know, reaching out here in your presence. We wanna go deeper in your life and come alive.
Intro. 2, 3, 4.
Oh. Okay, cool. Let's go and add yeah, so Wild Wings Safari says, unless your drummer is not there and you want a full drum track. Yes, that is true. If you don't have a drummer, then maybe you could program real drums and play that. But you know, what I'm building here is this is just an enhancement track for a full band. But yeah, you could add whatever instruments you want. If you wanted to add a real bass guitar, what was I gonna do? I want to add just like a tambourine. So I'm gonna go to Loops, and I downloaded some tambourines from SoundPark. So if you need some tambourine, you can kind of bring in some tambourine. So let's. So I'm just going to click and drag, and this is just an audio loop. I'm going to bring it into the chorus and drop it. And what's cool is you can quantize audio as well if you need to by just doing Command A and then U, and it's going to lock the tambourine in. I'm going to change it to complex so it's a little smoother. And let's just go and copy and paste that tambourine. Man, it's crazy how much copy and paste, right, comes into play here. It really is just going to help speed things up, not audio-wise, but the process. Let's add it through the intro. Yeah. So now we got a tambourine. Let's rename this.
Bridge 2, 3, 4.
So Dan asks, if you know you're using a mono system at church, how does that affect what effects you're going to use? For me, it doesn't at all. Just because the effects, when I bounce them down, or really it's more of when you are playing them out of your computer in a live performance, as long as you send them down a mono track, just the effects are going to all just, the sound is going to be coming down just one channel. So, I don't know, it really doesn't make that big of a deal. Yeah, most churches don't have stereo. So here's what we've got so far for the chorus. I want to add a shaker in the verse, so I'm going to go to my shakers.
2, 3, 4.
So I'm going to just click and drag the shaker down here, and yes, the webinar, you can always watch it back again later if you want. I think I'll leave this one up. So let's just go and quantize this. So the shaker is good. I'm going to go ahead and change this to complex. I hope this is helpful for you guys. I hope this isn't boring you to death.
4.
Okay, so when I warped that, I need to actually, if you hit this little like half button, it's going to change the timing. It was set to this. Which that's not going to work. So let me go ahead and delete that shaker. And let's see if we can bring in the shaker. There we go, that's kind of cool. I'm going to also just half it so it's looping a smaller section. If you click and drag, it's just going to automatically loop it for you, which is kind of cool. So it's not quantizing it really to how I want to quantize. So I'm going to just do Command U or Command Z to undo. And let's see here. I'm going to change my quantize settings. Well, first of all, I'm going to make it so it's only looping just a smaller part like this. I'm going to right click and I'm going to go to crop sample, and it's just going to delete everything else. I'm going to Command U. Whoops. That was a command. Alright, so Command A. I'm going to right click and go to quantize settings, and I want to quantize it to just a little tighter. Okay. So let's go and play this again.
4.
You kind of have to play around with this stuff sometimes. So I just moved to the warp marker. So I moved the warp marker. There we go, that's cool. So I got a little shaker in there. Now I could have just used MIDI to make a shaker. That was probably a lot more work than I needed to. I could have used MIDI and just played one in. But I kind of wanted to show you how you could kind of mess with audio a little bit as far as warping goes. Let's add in some Owl City beeps in here. So I'm going to save this, and let's just add like an operator. So I'm going to go to Instruments, and I'm going to go to Operator. I'm going to click and drag and drop it down here. We're going to call it Owl City beeps. Or we'll just call it Owl City. And now Owl City, you know, I've got like this operator sound that's just like, and I'm going to I want to add this into the chorus. Let's just see what happens. I'm going to hit play and hit record.
Chorus 2, 3, 4.
Okay, and it's not recording because I had the punch in button, so you want to make sure you have that turned off because that will throw you off. Let me hit record again. I'm going to do this again. Here we go, ready?
Chorus 2, 3, 4.
Alright, so I liked what I did there at the end, so we're gonna copy and paste that whole section, double click on it, let's quantize it. You might want to change your quantize settings again, back to what it was. I was on the 16th. And let's hit play.
Intro 2, 3, 4.
Cool, let's go and copy and paste it. I want to go ahead and like add in, let's add some ping pong delay on there because I think that might sound cool. That and an overdrive. So I'm going to highlight the section because I just want it to loop as I can kind of play with it. So let's do this. Turn the loop switch on. Let's hit play.
4.
And let's go to our audio effects. And first thing we're going to do is a little overdrive. Whoops. You got to click and drag. Whoops. Click and drag that overdrive right onto the Owl City track. I'm going to turn the drive up a little bit. Turn the tone down. And let's go ahead and pull in a ping pong delay. Whoa, that's crazy. Let's turn the dry wet down a little bit. The feedback a little bit. It's pretty sweet, right? Let's go and throw in some reverb. So I'm going to go to reverb. I like to use one that's room. I like to use medium stage under hall. And then turn the dry wet down.
Chorus 2, 3, 4.
I might want to turn that ping pong up even. Now if you want to group those lead synths, you can select both of them and then right click and go to group, and it's going to put them both under one group, and I can just call this lead synth. And now on that group I can turn up and down all of them together. Let's turn the original off.
Chorus 2, 3, 4.
There is no one beside you. Okay, so hopefully this gives you a good idea of what you can do to build tracks. I'm going to go ahead and kind of close this up now. If you guys have any questions, I'll hang out here for a little bit and answer some questions. But if you want to go, you can go. But I'm going to answer some questions if you have any. But hopefully this gives you a good idea of how you can build tracks in Ableton Live. And really what it is, it's a lot of copy and pasting. It is just kind of layering stacks of instruments on top of one another to help kind of just create these tracks. Let's talk for a second about how, let's just say I'm done and I'm ready to export them. So all you do is you just go to File, and you go to Export Audio, and here you're going to have an option. You can either export the master. If I export the master, what that means is it's going to export or save one audio file, and that audio file is going to be everything I just did mixed down. So I wouldn't want that if I'm making tracks. I want to choose individual tracks, and what that's going to do when I hit save or export, it's going to export each track, so original, cues, piano, pad 2, summer pad, lead synth, and so on, as their own wave files. So then I can take those wave files and upload them to Loop Community, or bring them into Ableton later to play them back. But you want to make sure you export individual tracks, so then you always still have what are called stems, and you can remix them if you need to, turn things up, turn things down. So if you are making loops and you want to if you're making loops and you want to contribute to Loop Community, a couple things. One, you have to include a click track, you have to include a cues track, and all you do, if I were ready to do this, I would just hit export to export my individual stems. I would also go to File, Collect All, and Save, and what that's going to do is it's going to save all of the audio files that I used in this session. So any samples that I used, any sort of like the shaker or tambourine, it's going to collect everything I used and it's going to put it all into one Ableton session. So then I could zip that up and upload it to Loop Community. So I hope that this has been helpful. If you guys are interested in uploading tracks to Loop Community, we'd love to get your tracks up there. We've got thousands, literally, of worship leaders who are uploading tracks from all over the world. And it can be a way that you can really just help other churches. There's a lot of churches out there who maybe don't have bands, or they're missing players in their band, or their bands just need a little bit of help, enhancement tracks really. And you can really help them out. That's what Loop Community is about. It's a community of worship leaders just supporting each other who are using loops and multitracks. So if you guys have any questions, go ahead and type them into the window. I'm going to let this play back, and we'll answer any questions that come up.